All right, moving on to episode 3, which is entitled Squeeze. This is a pretty memorable episode for me. I think I saw it a ton growing up. Freaking Eugene Victor Toombs. Holy shit, man. Yeah, as soon as I saw it was the episode, I was like, Toombs! I know this one. Forgive me, I think I might be coming down with a cold. I just took a shower to try to feel better. I'm feeling real out of it, but I'll do my best here. So we take a break from Aliens. I was mentioning in the last episode, like, when are they going to take a break? But here we go. So 3 episodes in. But they go right back to it in the next episode. So Toombs is able to contort his body, stretch it, elongate it so that he can enter from all these random places. We don't really get to see that happen in this episode. I know he's in another episode. But it would have been cool to see. He kind of like flies out of a ventilation shaft. We don't really get to see him stretch or anything, but I think that's just due to like special effects, budgetary constraints, stuff like that. And they probably didn't want it to look cheesy, so they just kind of opted out of it. But we got Donald Logue. How do you say that guy's name? From Gotham. Oh man, I'm a freaking... I'm a big fan of Gotham, so it was cool to see him in it way young. And he's a total dick. Total fucking, like, you know, he comes to Scully and he's like, well, we need your help, and maybe if, you know, Spooky Mulder wants to come and join the case, he can help, but this is my case. And, like, totally uses him, try to climb all over him and so they can get above him and talk shit about him condescendingly. And, you know, finally pushes where, you know, Scully's just had enough with him. She uses a line, I'll get to it, that I just loved. They mentioned the World Trade Center bombing in here. It's always interesting to hear about that, where, you know, they had that kind of failed attempt on the World Trade Center. It's kind of sad to hear. It's like, well, eventually kind of succeeded, but just, yeah, anytime I hear that in a movie predating 2001 and post-dating, like 1993? When was that? 93? I don't remember. This season could have been. I don't know. When was that? Anyway. Did it happen more than once? God, shit, I can't even remember now. Anyway. And, oh man, there's so much good humor in this show. That's something, I mean, I know that, but there's some really, really funny lines that the one Mulder has when he's talking to Colton, Donald Logue's character, it's Robert Loggia. When he's talking to him about like the aliens, he's like, no, they have gray skin. He's talking about how liver and onions goes for this price on their planet. Can't remember what the planet was called. That shit was really funny. Like, there's a lot of witty comebacks, a lot of great humor in this show, and I don't think this show gets enough credit for its humor. Now, Toombs does 5 murders every 30 years, kind of Jeepers Creepers style, where he comes and he takes a liver to regenerate so that he can hibernate in this cocoon made of bile and ripped up newspapers. And Mulder finds elongated fingerprints, which, you know, no one, of course, wants to believe has anything to do with it. And it's like, why wouldn't you even look at those? Like, they're fingerprints. I mean, you might not like that they're elongated, but they are fingerprints. They got to look at them for some reason, right? Now, I have a really hardcore, like, I don't know what to call this, a sexual attraction to women in suits, and something I've had for a long time. Never could really put my finger on what it was about that look. I've always had a thing for it. And watching this again, I genuinely think it came from watching The X-Files and just kind of obsessing over Scully. She's always in a suit, and I love the way she wears it, and I love it. Like, I'm a sucker for a chick in a suit, and I think Scully is responsible for that. So, yeah, I was just kind of noticing that in this episode, like, oh shit, I think this is where I got it. So then Mulder goes and he fucks around with Toombs' fingerprint, elongates it, you know, stretches it in and to make it match, and she's convinced, which I'm just like, how is no one else seeing this? Did you not show it to them? And if you did, they're like, no. It's like 100%. There's no denying that. It's an absolute match. So, I don't know. No one listens to spooky Mulder. Egos get in the way. And I do like how Mulder is actually territorial over Scully, you know, when he's coming in on her. So there's definitely a little bit of an attraction going on in these early episodes for sure. It's not just like shoehorned in much later on. It kind of goes in and out throughout the entire series. And the necklace, because Mulder like pulls her back like with her necklace. Then Tooms even grabs the necklace later on and rips it off of her as he's hiding up in like the pipes above when they find his little hideout. I like the line that Scully delivers to Colton, where he's like, you know, when she's siding with Mulder, and he's like, "Whose side are you on here anyway?" And she's like, "The victims." Like, there's no fucking sides in this. I just want to get to the truth. I'm not picking anybody's side. Mulder is the only one who isn't letting his ego or his desire to rise to the top get in the way of this. And, you know, he's finding things that you guys aren't looking for. And of course I'm I mean, not only is he my partner, but he seems to be the only one that's doing anything about this at the moment. So I just, yeah, her answer of like the victim, I love that line. We see a picture of Tooms from 30 years ago, and he looks exactly the same age, which is yet more proof, unless he's, you know, using some amazing skin cream or something. He's definitely, that's some damn good proof. And I was thinking about this. I was thinking about something like The Creeper. I was thinking about something like Tooms, where they go into this hibernation period for, you know, 23 years or 30 years, as in this show. And thinking about like how long they've been around. Maybe they've been around 100 years. Maybe they've been around hundreds of years. I know in Creeper, at least 200. And I was thinking, it was funny because it kind of reminds me of Queen of the Damned, if I remember correctly, if this happens in that. But, you know, you go into hibernation, and like every 30 years he wakes up, he's probably just like, oh, fuck. Like, the cops have gotten better. The forensics has gotten better. Like, I'm not going to be able to get away with this much longer. Like, if you go back 30 years, like he goes back to like the 70s and the 40s and the 1906 or something, 1903, whatever. And then before that would have been the 1800s. Like, back then, no one would have caught him. Nobody. So like he goes away for 30 years, and every time he comes out, it's just, could you imagine like 30 years? Oh my God, I'm only 36 years old. I can barely remember to 6 years old. So my lifespan for my memory is only about 30 years. How much shit has changed in 30 years? I couldn't imagine going in hibernation, then coming out 30 years later. You wouldn't even be able to take the changes. So, I mean, he adapts pretty damn quick. I don't know how long he's out of hibernation. I don't know how long it takes him to kill the 5 people. I mean, is he out for a year? Is he out for a week? Is he out, like, I don't, they never specify that. What happens if he doesn't get them? Will he go on for a while before he deteriorates? I mean, he's trying to build himself a cocoon. Does he absolutely need 5 before he can hibernate? Can he do 4 and maybe sleep for only like 20, 2 years or 3 years or something? Like, I don't know. Overthinking things as usual. And then Mulder and Scully come through the door of Tooms' house, his little apartment or whatever, and that is the opening. That is in the opening credits of the X-Files. That's like one of the only scenes from the actual show in the opening credits. And there it is. It's right in this episode. So that was kind of cool to see. I was like, hey, I recognize that from the opening credits. And then Tooms comes after Scully. She fights him off. Mulder comes in and handcuffs him. Handcuffs? Really? That wouldn't work. He'd slip right out of those things in 1 second, like you didn't even put them on him. That was really weird to me. Like, knock him out. That would have made sense. But handcuffs on a guy we know can stretch his fingers and his hands and slip through anything? That was weird. I mean, I know he's got a gun trained on him and anything, but like, he could have continued to fight. As soon as he hit him, he's just been like slipped right out and kept fighting. Kind of it would remind me something of like the Terminator 2 fight when he throws him against the wall and then he just like, changes right back to the other side and keeps fighting. Like it wouldn't even, not even, it didn't stop the fight for once. It was one of the coolest fucking scenes I ever saw in the theater. Oh my God, my brain exploded when I saw T2 and that happened. But I'm just trying to point out that it wouldn't even slow down the fight for him at all. Like that wouldn't even be an inconvenience. Like as soon as he put it on his hand, it would just slip it right out and keep fighting. Like, I don't know. I thought that was really dumb. And then, yeah, Tooms is in his little prison cell and he starts building himself an old nest. The papers reveal that he got captured. That relieves the old detective that was helping them on the case. And then Tooms sees that his door has a small opening that he can sneak through and smiles. Dun, 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 to be continued. All right, let's move on.